So today we're going to be going over my top 10 positional rankings for the upcoming season. Putting together positional rankings is never going to be easy, and this has taken me like a long time to put together simply just because there's so many different factors that really contribute to your positional rankings, and this is my personal positional rankings, so I wouldn't expect everybody to agree with it. I think that everybody sees and values things differently, especially when you play football, and that's why coaches a lot of times will tailor their schemes and stuff to players that they want to play, because I think that when you look at how schemes are run and how coaches like to run offenses, like Malik Willis, for example, signed with the Dolphins because that's the kind of quarterback they wanted to run their offense with. So for each position, I'll state my criteria when evaluating it. Some of the things that I value straight off the bat are availability and health, because I think that's really huge, especially in this day and age, and versatility. When you're running different offenses and have guys moving around, catching, and that sort of thing, I think that versatility is huge. Defenses as well, like you look at the Rams defense, guy like Quentin Lake, guy that moves from safety to DB to, almost hybrid linebacker. I think versatility is huge in today's game, especially for, like we'll get into a little bit later, running backs. So first of all, every single player I'm going to be listing in this podcast, first criteria would just be who would I want on my team? Pretty plain and simple. I'll go through each of the different categories I would want per position. And at the end, I'll go over my first team offense as a whole. So starting off at quarterback. Quarterback would just be which quarterback would I want leading my offense currently, their processing ability, their mobility, their arm talent, and their clutch. I think that's pretty simple sort of way to rank quarterbacks. Number one, I'm going to go Josh Allen because I think he's got an elite arm. He can make plays off script. He's got the just amazing ability to run with the ball, and arguably the hardest QB to defend when that play breaks down. I think he's been an incredible rusher. Him and Lamar are pretty close in terms of rushing ability, but I think Josh is a way harder runner to tackle because he'll just run right through you. Obviously, he doesn't have that clutch gene as much as he probably should have, but I think that he's just hard to pass up as one of the best QBs in the NFL. Again, this was really hard. Number two, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson, most dangerous rushing quarterback, elite pocket growth over the past couple years, and they got him a couple of new receivers this year, so I'm really looking forward to watching him play this year. Number three, Matthew Stafford, elite processor and anticipatory thrower. Obviously won the MVP, one of the best throwers of the football. He's getting up there in age. He's especially even with the Rams, he's not as mobile as he used to be. But I think a lot of that's just age, and he's getting really old and doesn't want to run when he can pass it to someone in the flat or something like that. But I think that he's still one of the best pure passers and middle of the field attackers in football. You saw last year with the Rams, especially when they got Devontae Adams to help him in the red zone. Like, it just really was a dialed in year for him. Moving on to number four, I have Patrick Mahomes. Again, like I said earlier, really value mobility in my rankings because I think that that's something that's really needed in the modern NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best improviser in football, can throw from unreal arm angles. He has elite situational football awareness and has that postseason resume to back it up. Last year, I feel like was interesting for the Chiefs because you had a combination of injuries. You had Travis was kind of going through a weird season where he was good at some times and just like kind of falling off a cliff other times. So I think this year should definitely be a bounce back year because, I mean, how can you not bounce back from the year that they had, not even making the playoffs for the first time? Like, that's pretty crazy. But I think that when you look at Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, some of the help that team's got around him, like, how can you not rank him in your top 4, 5? At number 5, speaking of number 5, I have Joe Burrow. Between the accuracy, the timing, the pocket command, and just his processing versus coverage, it's elite across the board. I would say some people would not want to rank him very highly because I've heard from just people online and stuff that they're like, oh, he's throwing to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Yeah, but you still got to get him the ball, though. And I feel like he does a great job no matter who's really out there. His arm's great. Decent mobility, I would say, and then just his ability to process pre and post snap is really great. At number 6, I have Justin Herbert, prototype arm talent with underrated mobility. I think when you look at his performance this past season and you look at the way he was playing before they started like shitting the bed on the offensive line, like his offensive line was terrible, like literally the worst offensive line of football that I've ever seen. I watched a bunch of Charger games last year and like he was just not getting any help from anyone on that offensive line. And then he ended up breaking into some of these like huge runs because his offensive line was literally not even giving him like 5 seconds. And that's why they were doing really good at the beginning of the year. For the first like 4 games when they knocked out the Chiefs, they were doing like they had a real good run at the beginning of the year, but I have no clue what happened. I think it's just combo injuries. Alt went down again. I think this year they got him some more help. They got him another center. And I think that with Another year in the system, Mike McDaniel, Harbaugh, like how can you not like Justin Herbert's performance going into year, what is it now? I think that Keenan Allen coming back could definitely be a possibility for him too, because I think that he was his big safety net, so to speak. So I think that his performance for the Chargers will be big in this upcoming season and just overall, like. And then at number 7, I have Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has good amount of efficiency. I mean, he's went to 2 Super Bowls. He has the rushing value, like I was saying earlier, leadership, short yardage dominance. You have the tush push, obviously, so he's had many rushing touchdowns over the past couple of years. So I think that factors into a lot of his play and stats as a quarterback. Is just all those rushing touchdowns and rushing yards, but kind of is not the greatest passer, but I think just as a weapon at quarterback, like how can you not want him in your top 10? People like to say, oh, he's thrown to Smitty and A.J. Brown, just in the same way we talk about Burrow, but you got to be uber talented to be on an offense that leads you to the Super Bowl. So I think that him, Saquon, A.J. Brown's another interesting one because he might not even be there next year, but Jalen Hurts, I really like the way that he plays football. I think he plays pretty smart football. Like sometimes he'll make some boneheaded plays, but overall, great player. Trevor Lawrence at number 8. Trevor Lawrence was an interesting one because he looked like he just did not have it together his first couple of years in the league, but that just looks like it's Jacksonville incompetences. He really put together a really good year last year. I was really surprised to see that even though Travis Hunter went down and then Brian Thomas Jr. had a down year, like he still put together a really solid growth year from him. Really excited to see what he does this year. I have Trevor Lawrence as my number 8 going into this year. And just a reminder, this is going into next season. This is not like a career ranking so far. Number 9, I have Dak Prescott. Quick processor, efficient distributor, strong against the blitz. His mobility is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as like he's a rushing quarterback. I would say he's more of a quarterback that can get you a first down if you need to. This is probably the second oldest guy on this list after Stafford, because he's been in the league a long time, knows what to look for, has good rhythm-based passing concepts, and I think that he's definitely been one of the most underrated guys when you think about quarterbacks in the past, 5-6 years. Just Dak, like he was on an MVP track for a while there, but then just derailed from injuries and such. So I think that with Pickens, with CeeDee Lamb, how can you not like Dak going into this next season? At number 10, I have Jaden Daniels. What a dynamic dual threat ability Jaden Daniels has. I mean, he won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Just had a really amazing rookie season, led them to the NFC Championship game. Fell short, but still like an amazing rookie season. Dynamic dual threat ability, explosive scrambler, creates those chunk plays with both his legs and deep passing. I would say that looking at his season last year, that really doesn't define who he is because he had the injuries, he had scheme stuff going on. Like, he just wasn't who he should be, and he's in for a big season come in this upcoming year. Honorable mention to Drake May, because I don't know. I wasn't really sold on the Patriots this season. I know obviously they went to the Super Bowl, but when you look at his body of work this year, like I wasn't truly impressed by anything that he did. He played it very conservatively, and they didn't have the best weapons. For my longtime listeners of the podcast, I did this back in 2022. And I had Debo on my 10 spot for wide receivers. And I said, well, Debo had a great year. But when you have a year like that, you have to follow it up with another like pretty good year. And Debo just fell off a cliff off of that. And I feel like that's the same for Drake. Like, obviously, he's not going to probably repeat the Super Bowl year. But I feel like I want to see another year out of Drake before I put him in the top 10. Because I wasn't really that impressed with anything that he did. He kind of was just like an all-around good quarterback. There's not one thing that I can point to and say that was his best quality. I think he's got a good arm, he's tough, and he has that high-end playmaking upside, like outside of structure, but I wouldn't say that he's a better runner than Daniels or a better processor than Stafford. Like, I wouldn't say that he's really good at anything. He's kind of just okay or great at a couple things. My criteria for running backs is just your ability to get yardage, your explosiveness, your durability, and your pass catching, which was not something that was in my criteria a couple years ago, but I feel like the modern offense has really sort of evolved to include that as part of something you need for your modern running back. And the guy that just exemplifies all of that is Bijan Robinson. I think that Bijan is the best running back in the NFL. Complete 3-down back with elite vision, balance, and receiving ability. Just ability to create outside of structure was a big part of that Falcons offense this past year. He was most of that Falcons offense, I felt like, last year. Falcons love to get involved in different route concepts, and he's been incredible his first couple of years in the league. Bijan is my number 1 for this upcoming season. At number 2, I have Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has that burst, he has that receiving value, and he has that elite change of direction in space. We all saw that big run he did this past year. Amazing. So speedy. He lost Knuckles in free agency, but he's still was incredible even working with David Montgomery, which I think is something that is sort of a talent in itself, is to balance your running back by committee role well, and he definitely did that. I just think that when it comes to just hard-nosed running, I think Bijan is better than Jahmyr Gibbs in that regard. At number 3, I have James Cook. Explosive acceleration, home run speed, dangerous receiving ability. James Cook has definitely only gotten better in his first couple seasons in the league. I think that he was a great part of Buffalo's offense this past year, and I think he's only going to get better this year. At number 4, I have Christian McCaffrey. He's an elite route runner for a running back. He's got great vision, versatility, and mismatch value. Much more of a receiver this past year than a pure rusher, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if that was age, I don't know if that was injury or whatever, but he was just much more used as a receiver than he has been in past years. Still a great weapon on the field nonetheless. Number 5, I have Jonathan Taylor. Now, Taylor is an interesting one because he was probably one of the top 2 running backs in the league. Down here because of injury and scheme, and the Colts were just kind of bad, but I think that he's definitely in the top 5 still. Elite straight line speed for his size, one-cut explosiveness. Definitely more of a hard-nosed runner than the last 2 guys that I just mentioned, but I think that his receiving ability is kind of a little underrated. But I think that when you look at his body of work since he's been in the league since 2020, I think that he's definitely would have been a top 10 running back for sure, and I would expect big things from him this next year. Hopefully Daniel Jones will be back to that beginning of season form that they went on that run with. I really like the way that Jonathan Taylor plays football, and if this were a couple years ago, he would definitely be in the top 3, but for now he lands at 5. At number 6, I have Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon had sort of a down year after his 2,000-yard season. Still definitely a premier back behind that Eagles O-line. Rare size, rare speed, athleticism combination with a big play potential for sure. I think Saquon is an interesting running back to watch this next season because defense is really sort of keyed in onto him after that big yardage season. I think that played a lot of part in how teams were just attacking him on defense and why he had that down year as well. And the Eagles passing attack kind of really just didn't flourish off of that fact, I feel like. There wasn't really that much chemistry going on there, but when you look at Saquon, you see someone that's basically the modern version of a Barry Sanders type guy, where he just has that elusiveness, he has that athleticism. It's just pretty crazy to watch him. And I think that it'll definitely be a bounce back year for Saquon. At number 7, I have Devon Achane. Devon Achane, another kind of more receiving back than he is a rushing back, but still incredible in both regards. Game-breaking speed, elite outside zone fit, and just a terrifying open field presence. He's another interesting guy to watch this upcoming season because you have a guy like Achane who might be the best player on his team, and he's not even one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, he is at 7 for me, but in the sense that he's going to have to carry a lot of what the Dolphins do this upcoming season because with Willis will probably just check down to him a million times, and they don't have really amazing wide receivers. So he'll be interesting to watch because I feel like he might carry that whole offense on his back this upcoming year. Number 8, I have Derrick Henry. Still in the top 10 at this age for running back is just incredible. He's got that physical dominance, downhill power, and still one of the toughest tackles in football because I feel like the way that he works out in the offseason is just insane. That's definitely a part of what makes him a great player. Elite contact balance, hard to tackle, hard to bring down, hard-nosed runner. And I think that the Ravens will put a little bit of pressure off of him with their revamped passing attack with some of those new wide receivers they picked up this offseason. Expecting big things from Derrick Henry, but I wouldn't expect him to carry the whole load like he's done in his Titans years. At number 9, I have Kyren Williams. Now, Kyren Williams I feel like has been sort of one of the disrespected running backs in the league because he's definitely top 5 if you were just look at specifically stats, but a lot of that comes from him just being the Rams' higher red zone offense for a couple years before Devontae came in. Devontae had 14 touchdowns. But I think when you look at Kyren Williams, he is a patient runner. He has good contact balance, hard-nosed runner, not elite speed, which is why I have him down so low, but he's just like a really old school style runner of the football. And I think that Blake Corum definitely will eat into some of his carries this upcoming season, which was why I have him kind of low. But I think that he's just an incredible football player. He doesn't have that breakaway speed, which kind of puts him in the lower tier for running backs. And I was sort of hoping that when they drafted another running back to be his 1B, that they would have someone with a little bit more speed, kind of like Gibbs and Montgomery. But Blake Corum also doesn't have amazing speed, but he's built in a similar kind of way, kind of smaller size. But I think Kyron will have a sort of a bounce back year after maybe take some more pressure off of Devontae in the red zone this year. Number 10, I have Breece Hall. Breece Hall just got paid, and for good reason. He's a smooth athlete with elite acceleration and just natural receiving upside. Like most of these backs on the list have to have that receiving upside. Some are better than others, like Bijan's probably the best out of all the different categories that I mentioned, which is why he's number 1. But I think that Breece has definitely been sort of a safety net in the Jets offense since he got there, because simply Garrett Wilson was out, or Garrett Wilson was the only other good player on that team. But it just seems to me like Breece needed a better opportunity, and I was surprised he didn't sign somewhere else this offseason. But he's just an incredible player in the time he was with New York for his first couple years, and can't wait to see what he does this year, because I'm a big Breece fan. I think that's why I think a lot of it was really just him being held back by New York's offense, whether that was Fields at quarterback, whether that was Rodgers. Like a lot of it the past couple years has just been incompetency on their part, and I feel like they're holding my guy Breece back. My honorable mention for running back is Josh Jacobs. He was another guy that was kind of been bogged down by whether that be injuries or scheme. Like he used to be one of the top premier backs in the league, but I feel like he's gotten a little bit more like mellowed out in his time with the Packers, and he's been awfully boomer bust. Like there's some games where he's just held under a couple yards, and there's some games where he goes off for almost 150. So I think that he's kind of been boomer bust. He definitely still has that violent sort of run to him and natural receiving upside, but I think that he can definitely re-enter the top 10 this upcoming season. Route running, hands, and your ability to get separation. Topping the list at number 1 is Puka Nacua. And I think a lot of you are probably going to be like, that's kind of a homer take, but I feel like there's been nobody in the NFL the past couple seasons that's been better at catching the football than Puka Nacua. A lot of his highlights are just him catching the ball in these insane angles, and you could just look at that and just be like, how is he just even catching that ball? It's these circus level catches, and he just makes those like really normal. I think he's just extremely tough, has a great route feel, sort of was mentored by Cooper Kupp, which could mean he sort of was mentored by Cooper Kupp, so I think that that's why he has that great route feel and that ability to kind of find those little spots where he can get open. Great yak ability, an elite understanding of zone coverage in general. I think the way that the Rams offense sort of schemes him to get open is definitely a big help. And when I was doing research for this, I learned that he had less targets than Jamar Chase for the past season, which I thought was really interesting, because people always say that he's sort of a volume merchant, which I definitely get, because he averaged like a crazy amount of receptions per game. There's a couple of games where he got to double digits last year as well, so I can definitely understand that. But I think when you look at what a modern receiver is expected to be, Puka definitely checks like most of those boxes. Number 2, I have Jamar Chase. Chase has been a lead out for the catch, explosive vertical threat, and just wins his routes through verticality and separation, because I think that Burrow throwing him the ball also definitely helps, but at the same time, his ability to get open is just unparalleled. He has an amazing ability to just feel the space and just sort of get open. Even when Jake Browning was throwing him the ball, I feel like he had that same sort of maneuvering ability. And he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for a reason. At number 3, I have Jackson Smith-Njigba. Again, kind of a riser in these past 2 seasons, where he wasn't that great last year. This year he comes in, has like an all-time season almost, and he has great route running, body control, and elite separation ability. That's really one of the main traits you want from your wide receivers, just ability to separate. If you can't separate, you're not going to really last in this league. And Jack's had a great year, but I think that maybe he takes a little bit of step back without his OC that went to the Raiders, Clint Kubiak. But him and Darnold made a really good duo last year, and that's what led him to the Super Bowl for the most part. I heard from a lot of Seahawks fans that he didn't even play fourth quarters, which would be pretty insane. So I think that he's definitely in the top 3. Moving on to number 4, we have Justin Jefferson. Now, I'm a big fan of Jets. I was a big fan of him coming out of college, and I think that he just sort of has lost a step a little bit just with quarterback play, but that's not really entirely his fault. So I think in turn it's just partially quarterback play and partially in return him not playing as good because of the quarterback play, if that makes sense. Just arguably the best pure route runner in football. Elite body control, and he has the ability to high point the ball pretty well as well. I think if he just gets like slightly better quarterback play this upcoming season, he'll be golden. At number 5, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown is interesting because I feel like he's another one of those guys that can kind of disappear a little bit sometimes, but super tough, reliable hands, and one of the best like chain movers in football. His run with the Lions has been incredible and is one of the biggest late round steals in the NFL draft in the past like 5 years. I think that for a lot of people he's might be higher, but for me I just think that he's not as consistent as some of the guys that I just put above him. So that's why he's at 5 for me personally. Number 6, I have AJ Brown. AJ Brown is another guy that's sort of like a little boomer bust because he's a physical alpha kind of dog, elite strength and yak power, but the Eagles have sort of neglected him in a sense. It's really interesting to see how they sort of like went from riding him in the offense to the Super Bowl to sort of just like wanting him off the team. I don't really know what's going on there, but I think that AJ is still a premier talent at wide receiver. Moving on to number 7, I have Nico Collins. Between his size, his speed, and just general like contested catch ability, I think that he's definitely underrated over the past couple of years. Quarterback play, like a couple others on this list, has definitely deteriorated some of his game, but I think that when you look at CJ Stroud for this upcoming season, he might have a bounce back year as well. So they're definitely counting on that as a whole organization, which is kind of crazy. But I think that Nico has definitely developed a lot of his game well since he's been in the league, and having a quarterback like CJ definitely helps for that. Number 8, I have CeeDee Lamb. Versatile alignment weapon with elite run after catch ability and just slot outside flexibility. CeeDee's been one of like the pure volume receivers, as I like to call him, since he's been in the league. Dak just loves him. He loves to just move those chains. Whether it's been with Amari Cooper or now Pickens, like he's been just pretty great sharing the field too, because I think he's another reason why Dak has been really underrated, because he's just been thrown to CeeDee. And I think that when you look at the way that he plays the game, it's a lot how at number 9 right after him is George Pickens. And Pickens, another interesting guy to watch, because I think that he was a little unhappy that they franchise tagged him instead of just giving him a contract, which is kind of why he got traded in the first place. But unreal ball tracking, contested catch ability downfield, sort of more of a deep threat than CeeDee, which is nice for that offense. And that's why they're one of the best offenses in the NFL last year. I like Pickens' game a lot, and that's why I have him at 9. Number 10, I have Drake London. Drake is sort of that big body possession receiver with like a great catch radius and strong hands. I like Drake's game a lot. I think that he's sort of evolved, again, like many of these guys have in the league over the past couple of years. And I think that if he gets like, if Penix wants to level up, he should just be targeting Drake. Like, that's simple as that. For my honorable mentions, I have Devontae Smith and Garrett Wilson. Two guys that are really hard to rank because I think that injuries have sort of plagued Wilson's career so far. And he just has elite body control and separation ability. And for Smith, I think that he's sort of in that... they're very similar receivers in sort of the sense that they have elite footwork and ability to separate well. And I think that sort of organizationally, the Jets have kind of failed Brees and Garrett Wilson. So it's hard to really rank where these two are in terms of like ranking them, which is why they're at my honorable mentions. I just wanted to shout them out because I think they're two great players. Shooting production, route running ability and separation, yak ability, blocking value, and versatility or just alignment flexibility. Number 1 for this upcoming season, I have Trey McBride. I think that when you have a quarterback coming in like Brissett or Carson Beck, like that's a guy that's going to just hyper target the tight ends. Trey McBride had a really great season last year. He's got elite receiving production with just a strong yak ability, and he's got that versatility. At number 2, I have Brock Bowers. Again, whether it's Kirk or whether it's Fernando Mendoza, I think that Brock's going to get a heck of a lot of targets this year. He's a dynamic mismatch weapon he's basically just a wide receiver. He's not like the greatest blocker, but he's got that explosive ability out for the catch. At number 3, I have George Kittle. Still got it. Best all-around tight end when he's fully healthy because he's got the blocking, he's got the physicality, he's got the yak dominance. At number 4, I have Kyle Pitts. He's a rare just like athlete who creates those mismatches with linebackers and corners and safeties. I think that he's definitely gotten better over the past couple of years. He scored 1, 2, 3, and 4 touchdowns since he's been in the league, which I think is pretty funny. But I think that with Penix's injury sort of in the air and Tua being on the team, like I feel like tight end could be sort of a central part of that offense with Bijan. So I'm really counting on him to have a pretty good year. And I think that even if Tua starts for a couple games, like it won't be terrible. Number 5, I have Tyler Warren, another physical all-around kind of guy with strong blocking ability and pretty great receiving ability. Had a great rookie season. Wasn't really high in him coming out of college, but he really just proved me wrong. And I think that this upcoming year, again, whether that's Jones, whether that's Richardson, like he should be a central part of that offense for sure. Number 6, I have Sam Laporta. Sort of a down year with injury last season. Kind of cut his year short, but definitely one of the top 10 tight ends for sure. Reliable chain mover. Still was able to eat in that Lions offense that was just so many mouths to feed. He's got that polished route running, and he's got a strong red zone presence for sure. Number 7, I have TJ Hawkinson, another guy that's sort of been injury prone a little bit, which kind of sucks. He's a great player to watch. Consistent target, definitely has dependable hands and has a good route running feel, especially in the red zone. He's been sort of more of a red zone guy the past couple years. Never mind, I'm cutting that. He has not been a red zone guy. Number 8, I have Colson Loveland. Great receiving year last year. Sort of came in like midway through the season almost. He's got a smooth frame, big slot upside, and just has natural separation. Him and Caleb should have a really great year, especially when you account for the departure of DJ Moore as well. Especially for when you account for the departure of DJ Moore, I feel like they're sort of counting on Loveland to take up a lot of those targets and be that sort of reliable chain mover that Moore was. At number 9, I have Travis Kelce. How the mighty have fallen. Like it used to be the Kittle or Kelce debate, and I felt like last year he just sort of fell off a cliff. But I think he's still better than majority of tight ends because he wasn't terrible, but compared to what he used to be, he really just is a shell of his former self. He's definitely still one of the smartest like zone beaters in football, has just elite feel for where Pat wants him to be, which I think is a big part in why he's been so successful, obviously, is just his ability to have that chemistry with Mahomes. But I just think for this upcoming year, like maybe he could even fall out of the top 10 here, but I'm still counting for a little bit of a bounce back year from the Chiefs overall just because of how terrible their year was last year. Number 10, I have Dallas Goedert. Really complete tight end who Eagles have been using a lot as a blocker throughout his career, and he's just a reliable target, whether that's, moving the chains or catching a real big pass down the middle. For my honorable mention, I have Tucker Kraft. Really physical runner after the catch. Bogged down with injuries this past season, but he just went on an incredible run this past year. Really excited to see what he brings this upcoming season. Maybe it's a couple of like less than 10 maybe stats that are common for offensive linemen. It's like pass block. For this in particular, I went for pass block win rate, run block win rate, sacks given up, and just how much I like watching them play as a whole, which I feel like is maybe a little biased, but I think that's a fair assessment. So first off, on offensive tackle, I have Tristan Wirfs at number 1. I'm going to run through these a lot faster because there's not as much to talk about compared to some of the other positions. Just an elite pass protector. Has blocked out in that Bucs offensive line ever since he's been there. Same thing with Penei Sewell at number 2. At number 3, I have Darnell Wright. Massive jump in pass protection consistency over the past couple years. At number 4, I have Rashawn Slater. Slater, I feel like people forgot how good he was because he was out in the entirety of last year. I think that Slater will have just an amazing comeback year, hopefully, if he can return to that all-pro level that he was playing at before. Number 5, I have Ronnie Stanley, veteran guy with excellent hands when fully healthy. Number 6, I have Trent Williams, still one of the craziest guys to watch run block. They were pulling him for a couple plays. It's just so fun to watch. Still one of the best run blocking tackles in football at his age. He's at number 6. Number 7, I have Christian Darrisaw, lead athlete to tackle, dominant run blocking metrics, and high-end movement skills. Number 8, I have Garrett Bowles, kind of an underrated guy for the Broncos the past couple of years. Big reason of why they were so good this past year. The Broncos offensive line was really good, and I feel like I didn't hear a lot of people talk about that. Number 9, I have Jordan Mailata, massive frame, mobility, crazy athleticism, creates that movement for Saquon and the rest of those boys that run there in Philadelphia. Number 10, I have Joe Alt. Kind of want to see more of a jump from him this year, especially last year he got injured like twice, which sucks for him, but I think that he was another one of those. Him and Slater were just insanely good in their first year, and then they just kind of dealt with injuries since then. I really like Joe Alt, like watching him play. He's poised for a young tackle, and he's definitely going to be one of the guys that locks it down for LA in the next like 10 years. Wanted to honorable mention the 2 Rams tackles, Clark Jackson and Warren McClendon. Incredible playing last year. Warren McClendon was like one of the biggest risers when he took over for Havenstein, and I think that the stats definitely back it up. He was top like 10, I think, in pass block and run block win rate, which is insane for a guy that played like, I think, less than 10 games, honestly. Clark Jackson as well, guy that's just overcome injuries, overcome being just undrafted in general, and I think that both of these guys just deserve a shout out because how well they play football. Moving on to offensive guard. For offensive guard, kind of same thing. Pass block win rate, run block win rate, pulling and movement ability. Just how much I like watching them play offensive guard. Number 1, I have Joe Thuney. Thuney's another one of those guys that's just veteran, long time, top 10 guard. Number 2, I have Quinn Miners. Miners is just dominant run blocking presence. Really wanted the Rams to draft him, but unfortunately they didn't. Number 3, I have Chris Lindstrom. Really polished guard, really great movement ability. Really big reason why Bijan is such a good running back because he's got Chris Lindstrom blocking in front of him. Number 4, I have Quentin Nelson. The overwhelming physical presence on that Colts offensive line. It's interesting to note that all of the top 10 running backs have at least one guy on here that blocks for them because that's just how the NFL works and how football works. Number 5 and 6, I have 2 Smiths. I have Tyler Smith and I have Trey Smith. Tyler Smith, really great guard from the Cowboys. Trey Smith, great guard from the Chiefs, just got paid recently. Number 7, I have Landon Dickerson, reliable all-around guard for the Eagles. That entire Eagles offensive line was really great when Kelsey was there, and it sort of dipped in quality a little bit this past year, but I think that every single one of those guys, Mailata, Dickerson, Johnson, like those guys are all top 10 in their own right, I feel like. The only reason I didn't include Lane Johnson is I'm a little concerned about his age kind of getting to him. And I think that when you look at sort of tackles, Trent Williams is the only guy that's been down there like for many, many years, but Lane's injury history and stuff concerns me a little bit, but I would now thinking about it, I'd probably put him in honorable mention as well. Because I think if he comes out this year and plays great, he's easily top 5, but for now, I'm just going to keep Lane at honorable mention. Number 8, I have Robert Hunt. Big free agency acquisition recently. Massive interior presence. Number 9, I have Kevin Dotson. Sort of an underrated acquisition, but big reason why the Rams have been doing so well these past 2 years. Huge presence in the offensive line. Great in zone concepts and great pass protection. Like when he went down, like you could obviously see how much that impacted the offensive line. Number 10, I have Zion Johnson. Kind of underrated. I think he definitely took a leap as a blocker, and I think that the Chargers were, I don't know, I don't know if I would say it was a bad idea to let him go, but I think that he was sort of still improving his game, and they kind of let him go on the upswing rather than the downswing. And my honorable mention is Tyler Booker. Another Tyler from the Cowboys with major upside. I really like his game that I've watched him coming out of college as well. Moving on to center. Same criteria as the rest of the offensive line. You already know. Number 1, I have Creed Humphrey. He's been the gold standard at center since he's been in the league, which is crazy to say for a rookie coming into the NFL already polished like he was. Number 2, I have Tyler Linderbaum. Raiders paid him a bunch of money for a reason. Outstanding range in the run game. Great with the Ravens his first couple years. And I'm really excited to see what he does blocking for Las Vegas. Number 3, I have Cam Jurgens. How can you fill the shoes of Jason Kelsey? He was like a perennial all-pro, amazing player, but Cam Jurgens has done a pretty dang good job of that, I feel like. He's an athletic guy that thrives in space, and he's continued to improve technically in the time that he's been blocking for the Eagles. Number 4, I have Aaron Brewer. He's a little on the undersized side, but I think that he's very athletic and he's effective and some of the concepts that they run. Number 5, I have Eric McCoy, reliable veteran guy, sort of like been the backbone of that Saints offensive line ever since he's been there. Number 6, I have Connor McGovern. Number 7, I have Zach Frazier. Number 8, I have Tyler Biadasz. I think that was a really underrated free agency signing for the Chargers, and I think that anything is better than Bozeman that they had last year. Number 9, I have Josh Myers. And number 10, I have Drew Dahlman. Dahlman's a really interesting one for the Bears because I feel like you don't hear a lot of people talk about him, but he's kind of been underrated his whole career. For an honorable mention, I have Jake Brendel. Smart veteran dude in a zone-heavy offense. Of episodes, so be on the lookout for that. I have my first team offense. And just looking back on when I did this 4 years ago, I think it's really interesting to see how quickly the league changes. My quarterback is still Josh Allen. Running back, Bijan Robinson. Wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba. My tight end is Trey McBride. My left tackle is Tristan Wirfs. My left guard is Joe Thuney. My center is Creed Humphrey. My right guard is Quinn Miners. and my right tackle is Penei Sewell. And compared to the one 4 years ago, it's really interesting how the wide receivers were Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp. Running backs were Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. Tight end was Travis. O tackles were Trent Williams, Ryan Ramczyk, Zach Martin, Elton Jenkins, and Corey Linsley. Crazy how fast time flies, but I remember just like yesterday making that list. This was really fun. I hope to see you guys for the defensive episodes soon. Be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode,